In this video, we'll be looking at the Time and Attendance app and giving a short overview. The Time and Attendance inside your integrated payroll software is up at the top under the link for Time. We'll click on Time, and this is going to bring us to our dashboard. In our dashboard, we can immediately see a lot of the things that we used to have to go in traditional time and attendance and run reports in order to get the data. Here we can see that it's brought straight to the front, and all we had to do was log in. We didn't have to go in and compile any reports to find out the information or run several different reports just to see what we're looking at now. From here we can see our missing punches. We can see that we don't have somebody from janitorial in yet. We can see our pending time off requests for each department, and we can see we have somebody out on personal time. These widgets are interactive with the status board below, and when I click on one of these, it'll bring the names of the person or people up, in this case that have missing punches, or who aren't in, or who have time off requests, or who might be out on a scheduled absence, and we'll look at that in a moment. Our status board gives us much of the information we need without having to dig any deeper into the application. We can see the employee's name, their default department, whether they're in or out, how many hours they have left before they reach overtime, how many hours they've worked in the pay period, how many overtime hours they may have currently, the date and time of their last punch, the contact number if it's added, and their direct supervisor. The nice thing about this status board is it can be sorted. Maybe I just want to see everybody from the sales department. And here we go. Maybe I want to sort this to see the clock ins first and then the clock outs. Or maybe just those that are clocked in for the sales department. Maybe I want to sort by the OT hours, or I'm sorry, the hours to overtime, smallest to largest. I click again, largest to smallest. Same with the pay period hours, the overtime hours, and the last punch. We can sort alphabetically, A to Z, Z to A. Same with the department, A to Z, Z to A. And the same with their manager. Below our status board is our scheduled versus actual. And here we can see in the orange is what we have scheduled. In the blue is what is actually worked. So with this trending scale, we can see how well we're doing filling the scheduled hours that are required. And in this case, not really doing too well. For this week, October 21st, we've got 1,568 hours scheduled, but only 339.5 actual hours worked. Now remember I said these widgets were interactive with the status board. And what I mean by that is when I click on one of the ring segments, for instance janitorial, I know there's 5 missing punches, I can see that those 5 missing punches are because of these 3 people. Anita has 1 missing punch, and in the sales department, these 5 people are responsible for the 7 missing punches. We'll look at the who's not in. I click on the ring segment and it looks like Linda's not in, but she should be. Same with our pending time off request. The sales department has 4 coming from Michelle. Janitorial has 6 coming from these 3 individuals. We look to see who's out today. We've got 8 hours of personal off. That could be one person. It could be a mixture of people depending on how many hours each of them requested off for the given day. And I click on here and it looks like Ramesh is off on 8 hours of personal today. I can refresh my status board to bring everybody back in here and continue sorting for whatever other information I might need from it. Going in a little deeper to the application, Typically, you see the missing punches, you want to fix them. I can come down and click on an employee name, and that's going to take me right into my time management. The time management was designed that everything you need is right in one spot. I don't have to go looking through other menus and digging for things to find PTO requests, to look at timesheets, to fix my exceptions. They're all right here because these are the most common things that you're going to be working with within a time and attendance application. So there's no sense in making things more difficult than they should be. Right here in front of me, I can see all of my exceptions that I have for the people that I have access to. Fixing a punch is easy. I click right here on the line, it brings it into edit mode. I can see what they've worked that week. I can go ahead and give Mark an out punch. I can choose to enter it in military format, and it converts to AM/PM for me. I can enter it in an AM/PM, let's say 4:03 p.m. I just click outside the box and I see that it takes that as well. I could also click from the pop-up down here of any pre-designated times if they fit the needs for the punch that I'm trying to add. I add my note and I select save. The missing punch disappears, it goes back to that individual's time card and sits in line where it should be. Over here I can see the start location, and we've got a bunch of numbers and letters, and this is a set of GPS coordinates. Down here is an IP address. You may have employees using the employee self-service portal, and this lets you know which IP address that they're clocking in and out from. If they're using an actual piece of hardware like a fingerprint clock or a badge reader clock, the name that you've given that clock will appear on the start location and the end location when they use that specific clock. That's very helpful if you have more than one clock and you want to find out where employees are clocking in or out from at any specific time. This person clocked in with a mobile app from their smartphone, and we have it set to record the GPS location for the employees that are authorized to use the mobile app. When I click on this, I can see where the employee was when they clocked in. As an added measure for security, I can even enforce a picture being required at the time the employee punches, and we can see the picture. We see an out punch, they have no in punch. Again, I click on the line. I can see if they've worked in that week to help me decide whether the time that I'm giving them clocking in matches what they typically work with what the employee gave me. I select a time in for them, save it, and again, it's gone, it's off, and I can work on the next one. Our PTO requests, we can see that the green are future requests, but the white ones are current or prior pay period requests that need to be taken care of. This lets me know the name of the person, the date, the day of the week, the date, the time that they want to start, whether this bank allows negative or not, how many hours they want deducted, how many hours they have left in their bank, the date and time of the request in case an employee or more than one employee requests the same day off, and a note from the employee. From there, I can approve or deny. If I've already approved one, an employee comes up and says, you know what, I don't need this day off, I can come in here and revert this. This brings it back up here. From here, I can deny it, or the employee could go through their self-service portal, change it, delete it, or resubmit. When deciding on whether or not I can allow somebody to take a day off, maybe I don't know if I have anybody else already requested the day off for December 24th. I can select View PTOs in a calendar. I can move to December, click Show PTO, and I see that I have Alice that's already requested that day off. So from there I can make a determination whether or not Benny can have the day off also. I can also select next year, and go through to see if any other employees have time that's been approved before approving additional employees for the same days. With our timesheet, it's color-coded to help you identify the different areas that you may be looking at or need to see. We can see the red are my missing punches, incomplete punches, and even though this date is not in my current pay period, this is going to haunt me until I get it fixed. Here I can see that I've got some overlapping time. I have a punch on this day from 6 to 5 p.m. and for some other reason I have a punch from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. This is warning me I have a potential problem. Overlapping time is this color. Non-paid time such as absences or lunches appear in teal. My awards such as bonus, tip, commission, things like that are in purple. My paid time away for holiday, vacation, personal, sick, things like that are in green. So it's easy to identify at a glance what's going on within the time card. If I need to split up a day between different departments, perhaps my employees don't change their departments at the clock, but I need to go in on some of them and split their day up between different departments. I can select the assign and redistribute. And in this day, we can say 2 hours working in admin and the other 2 hours working as a driver. We can set our notes if need be. We can change other levels if we want. And we can save, and that's going to effectively split up that day into 2 parts, much in the way we see Wednesday is in 3 pieces. 2 hours in Department 3, 2 hours in Department 1, and 4 hours in Department 2. Moving down, we can see the schedule. They're only scheduled for 3 days on here. I can edit this, and I see the 3 days. One of them, is already manually scheduled, and these 2 are their regular schedule. If I need to add a schedule for a day, I can right-click and select Add New Schedule, set my times, and it'll appear. Maybe I need to move the employee from working on Tuesday over to Wednesday. I can just click and drag, and I'm done. This person is now scheduled to work Wednesday instead of Tuesday. If I need to get rid of a day, I can right-click and just delete. Below, I can see the weekly totals. This employee just has a single 7-day weekly pay period, so there's only 1 week here. But you might have bi-weekly, which would give you week 1 and week 2, or semi-monthly, which could potentially give you week 1, week 2, and week 3. And you can click on each of the weeks to see what the hours were, worked, non-worked, the total payable for each week. Over here we can see the entire pay period totals for the worked and non-worked. The system is set up so that it can give holidays on a timetable that you define with different features such as they must work the day before and the day after on their scheduled days from the holiday. You can give them time and a half for working the holiday. You can give them holiday in addition to them working on the holiday. You can decide what pay type to choose for the holiday. A lot of different settings in there to be able to choose from. Our reports, we'll come down here to a time card report. There's several different time card reports leading from very simple to more informative. So once we select a report, if I click on this, we've got different options we can select. We can run it for specific employee or employees, run the report just for employees assigned to a specific supervisor, for different pay types, different departments, locations. We can break it down as a page break between department, job, anything like that. Set a page break by employee, group it by their supervisor, select the pay period we want to see, and we select regenerate. Now those options could be saved so that when we come back to rerun that report, we can just select here and it automatically has the selections that we saved. Approving time cards is easy. We see all the employees here. We can pick a particular pay period, and in this pay period I can see that the admin has approved everyone except for Ramesh. Maybe we've already cut Ramesh a manual check, so we don't want him going into payroll to have a second check duplicated. I can see a supervisor has approved these people. Once the employees are approved, we can then push the hours into our payroll side. We select the pay period that we're pushing, and we would just click push to payroll. We receive a confirmation, and the hours are sent over to our payroll app within the integrated software. Time can be approved one at a time. We can select show approvals. I have 3 levels here, but we could actually have 4 levels of approvals. From here we can see that as an admin I'm able to sign off for both myself and for the supervisor if necessary. I can reject the time card. Once I do sign off on a time card, or once anyone signs off on the time card, be it the employee, the supervisor, or myself, that's going to block the pay period, and now the pay period cannot be edited. As the admin user, I can revert the sign off for myself, the supervisor, and the employee. The changes can be made to the time card, and then the approval process begins again from the employee down to the administrator. You have a choice of using all of the levels of approvals, just one level of approval, 2 levels, whatever your desired setup is. An employee's time will not be exported to payroll unless they are approved. The application is a rules-based application, so we don't have to worry about learning scripting. We can set up our policies for overtime. You can have multiple policies for auto lunch deduction, multiple policies for holidays, rate matrix if you need to assign different rates for different departments so that employees are paid based on the rate that's assigned to that department, multiple rounding policies, level hierarchy plan. If they're clocking in through the employee self-service portal, maybe we only want them to see 3 of the 200 departments that we have in the company, then we can really narrow down what they're able to see when they clock in and change departments. Comp time, if you happen to use comp time. Shift differentials for those people that might be paid extra for working different shifts, such as graveyard or swing. And then our schedule templates to be able to create the templates for schedules to assign to employees. Also PTO plans. We can create multiple PTO plans for different types of employees, executive, hourly, management, things like that. We can set the accruals for X amount per pay period, X amount per month, X amount per each hour worked, X amount annually. Automated reports, we're able to go through and create automated reports that will email to the supervisors on a schedule that we choose. The employee self-service portal is a nice addition to the software. If the employee has a self-service login, they will not need to do this. I'm going to go ahead and log in just as an employee would that does not have access to the employee self-service portal. And what we're looking at here is basically the time clock and information that an employee needs. They're able to clock in, clock out, go to lunch, go to break, switch departments. From here I can view my schedule. I can see my PTO balances. I can request time off, and I can also see what I have out there that's pending, what's been approved, or if anything's been denied. I can view my timesheets. I can see a quick summary of my daily work, or I can go ahead and print out the timesheet by selecting print, or I could save it to my computer by clicking export. We're able to create multiple policies for the employee self-service. So if you happen to use a piece of hardware for them to clock in and out with, like, I don't know, a biometric finger clock, a card reader, hand reader, they could still have access to view their information, but we can remove these buttons so that they couldn't actually do any clocking within the application. For here, I click Start, and this particular profile has been set up for the employee to choose their department. Now we've got more than 3 departments, but I've created a level hierarchy profile so that this employee only sees the departments I want them to be able to see. I go ahead and click OK. I've got notes turned on within the employee self-service profile. This feature can be turned on or off depending on the company's needs. The employee could enter a note, or they could bypass if they don't have anything to enter. My punch was accepted, and I'm now showing in. Very easy, very streamlined. We see a message right here, and this can be added to the profile daily, multiple times a day. Anything that suits the administrator of the software. We're complete. We can just log off. Your software comes with an app that can be loaded on a tablet, turning your tablet into a time clock. The employee would log in. They would see the options that you've given to them from the mobile profile, and they can clock in or clock out. They might be able to access other items that you've given them within that profile when setting up the tablet app. These options can be turned on or off from the specific tablet, so that if you have one tablet designed simply for clocking in or out, they would not be able to access any of this. But maybe you've got a tablet set up in a break room where you don't mind if they come in to check their PTO balances, request time off, or look at their timesheet. The app also works in smartphones. The employee would download the app from the Play Store, sign in with the credentials supplied, and then they would be able to clock in or out, or lunch, or any option you gave them, transfer departments, breaks. They could also select the menu and be able to view their timesheet, approve their timesheet, view their PTO balances, request time off, see their PTO history, what's been pending, what's been approved, what's been denied. Adjust their settings, make auto login so they don't have to enter their credentials each time they open the app. With the smartphone app, the employees clocking in and out can be tracked to a GPS location so that you can see where they're at when they clock in or out. It can also be required that a photo be submitted of the person that is clocking in or out. This concludes our overview for the time and attendance app within your integrated payroll. Thank you for watching.